Hey everybody. Just safe tonight. Didn't want you guys to catch anything from me. So you guys think I should do the whole live stream like this? Somebody get in the comments and say if you feel safer with me wearing this mask. I'm just curious. Anybody here feeling safer tonight because I have a mask on? Well, let's see here. All right, well, let's do a few shout-outs. All right. I'm done with that dang thing. All right, let's do some shout-outs here tonight. Amy Hogshead is here, and she is happy Wednesday. Had Chinese food for dinner, and you're boycotting McDonald's. Is that because your supper was not very good? I mean, I can understand why you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Chinese food and McDonald's, so I don't know. Matt Clement says hi. Hey, Parker. Because they donated to Black Lives Matter. Interesting. Okay. If you're going to boycott all the companies that donated to that cause, Amy, you may never be able to eat out ever again. So just keep that in mind. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Hey, Suze. Dave Jessen, how you doing, buddy? And Matt apparently agrees with me. Let's see here. Hey, DW. Hey, the straight shooters in the house. I look better with the mask on. Yeah, that's a way to get yourself kicked out of my live stream there, Mark. So, all right, cool. All right, friends, we got a lot of ground to cover tonight. I got some stuff for you here. We're going to start with the scripture passage. So if you guys want to grab your Bibles, we're going to Revelation 13, which is what the thumbnail was about. You saw a minute ago. Hey, Bill and Crystal. Glad to have you guys tonight. We'll give everybody a chance to get on here. All right. Hi, Beth. Hey, Christina. You guys back from camping? All right. We're going to Revelation 13. This is, I'm going to say sort of by request by Matt. Matt Clements was asking me a question about the mark of the beast and some of the microchip thing and all this stuff. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about what that's about tonight. And I was going to do that under the Tim Destroy section, but I actually found something else. Actually, all three of these topics we're talking about tonight all started out as something I was preparing to destroy. And as I started reading on them, I found out there are things I could present. Because, you know, during these live streams, I like to do a scripture passage, a current event, and destroy something. So the scripture passage I got started off as a Tim Destroys, ended up being the scripture passage for tonight because I think we can get some good conversation out of that. So we'll work our way through Revelation 13. And then I've got a current event that we're going to try something a little techie here tonight, see if it works. So we'll see how that goes. And then I've got a thing I want to destroy tonight because it just aggravates me. So we're going to call it another current event that I'm going to destroy. So, all right, cool. Now I know if any of you have ever read, may tonight read for the first time, Revelation 13, you're going to find out there's a lot in here that you're going to want to know about. I'm not going to be able to flesh all this out in the time that I have. So I'm going to go through this as best I can. I'm going to hit some high points and do some stuff. But I really want to get to the end of the chapter but I got to do some of the lead up stuff to it because at the end of the chapter is where Matt's question came in. Sorry, I got to fix my computer here. That's better. So Tim and Candy are in the house. Hey, Dickies, we're glad that you're here. So only at 16. Where is everybody? Is it not rain? Did the rain stop, or is it not raining now, or is it nice out? I've been in the church for the last couple of hours. I was down with youth group, and I was here before that reading up on tonight. So did the weather turn out being decent? I have been outside for a couple of hours. All right, Revelation 13. That's where we're going to start at tonight. and we'll have a little conversation about this, and hopefully a few more people. Hey, Joyce Koenig is here. Joyce, how you doing? How's that knee doing? Are you up running around and behaving yourself? And well, I forget that behaving yourself because we know that's not happening. But I hope that you're good, and we know the party can start now that Joyce Koenig's in the house. So, all right, fantastic. So, okay, well, there's no general way to do this, so we're going to run right after Revelation 13 here. This is part of the. It's not the beginning, but it's toward the beginning of the second. The vision of Revelation is divided into two parts. Well, actually, three parts. And this is the beginning of what would be either the second or third part, depending how you want to look at it. So, as John is experiencing this vision and all this stuff, this is part of the second wave, I believe. So. Hey, Marge. Hi, everyone. We got 82 and nice out. Well, that might explain why we only got 17 people in here tonight. So, all right. Cool. So, Revelation 13, and I'm going to read for you, for all you guys. So, but if you want to follow along, that's where we are. This is Revelation 13:1. Then I saw a beast rising out of the sea. I mean, that's a great start to a scripture lesson, isn't it? Then I saw a beast rising out of the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns with 10 crowns on its horns. And written on each head were the names that blasphemed God. This bad dude. This is not a... I'm going to be... The beast looked like a leopard, but had the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. Enough to picture that. Look like a leopard. I mean, it happens to me all the time. I see something, it's like, well, look at those bare feet and look at that lion mouth. It looks just like a leopard, right? I mean, perfectly easy to understand. And the dragon, I mean, let's go ahead and make things worse. And the dragon gave the beast its own power and the throne and great authority. I saw that one of the heads of the beast seemed to be wounded beyond recovery, a fatal wound had healed. The whole world marveled at this miracle and gave allegiance to the beast. All right, well, let's right off the bat identify a couple of these characters. Now, what I'm going to tell you here is based on what happens in the rest of the book of Revelation. So I'm kind of looking at the wider picture here, wider than chapter 13. We know that the dragon represents Satan. That's the dragon in this thing. In the chapter immediately preceding, right before this one, the dragon tried to kill the church. The church is in the vision. And the dragon tries to kill Lady Church, and God saves the church a couple different times. And so we know the dragon is Satan, wanting to do his thing and destroy as much as he can. Now, who is the beast, though? That's a big question, because the beast, well, is sort of not identified, but actually is. If you go back and count. And I don't have the names or whatever. But if you go back and count the beast and the wounded heads and the number of beasts and how they have crowns and stuff, all follows the Roman Caesars and Roman emperors. So the people who are in charge of the Roman Empire, I'm sure you've all heard it before that a lot of the evil imagery and the bad guy imagery all follows the Roman Empire. Why? Because two people in John's day, John being the person who saw the vision of Revelation, Rome was the epitome of evil. It was the most evil thing going right now, or at least not now, at that time. So whenever they thought of evil, they thought of the Romans. Didn't like the Romans at all. They had been the force behind killing Jesus, and they kind of conquered the whole world. They were sort of in charge of everything. They had all the money and all the power and all the prestige and all the everything, which really makes people hate you. So everybody hated the Romans. We talked a little bit last week when we talked about Judas, how Judas was wanting Jesus to overthrow the Roman Empire. And that's kind of what he was looking for. And when that didn't happen, Judas was, well, heartbroken to say the least. So that's what we're representing here. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. And yes, Tim, Caesar Nero is definitely going to come up in this. Cool Hand Luke says the baddest dudes on the block. That was the Romans. They were the baddest dudes on the block. They had all the money, all the power, all the military strength, all the weapons, all the everything. And as I said, when you have all that stuff, it makes people hate you, especially when you're brutal with it like the Romans were. So the dragon, the dragon is Satan. And you see, so who's in the beast is the Roman Empire. So who is the dragon empowering? Well, the dragon is empowering the beast. Not exactly a big line to draw there, but is representing the beast. And so this is kind of a coded or a veiled way of saying that it's been revealed that Satan is breathing life into the Roman Empire. Okay. Am I just going to interpret Revelation and say, well, it all happened in the first century and it doesn't apply today? No, I'm going to get to the application, but I need you to understand what the vision John was seeing and the lens he was seeing it through. I need you to understand that before we talk about modern application, because there absolutely is one. Revelation is not a one and done thing back in the day. It still has a lot of meaning today, but you got to understand the context before we can get to the meaning. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so verse 4. They worship the dragon, meaning the beast. They worship the dragon for giving the beast such power, and they worship the beast. Who is as great as the beast? They exclaimed. Who is able to fight against him? Again, Roman Empire, very, very clear imagery here. Then the beast was allowed to speak great blasphemies against God. So, and again, you go back in history, you can see this. The Roman Empire hated Christianity, wanted to get rid of it for the same reason that, honestly, powerful dictators don't like Christianity today. The whole point behind the message of Christianity and the whole gospel of Jesus Christ is about talking about the value of people and the fact that we have value because God assigns us value, and we are saved because God saved us. Dictators don't like talk like that. Powerful political things that are trying to take over the world don't like talk like that. They don't like for people to feel empowered and valued, because empowered and valued people they're not very submissive. And dictators hate that. So that's why that didn't work out so well for him. So the beast obviously hated Christianity. And that's why it was speaking blasphemies, because it was trying to talk everybody out of worshiping one true God, because that was leading to problems for the Roman Empire, for the beast, for whatever evil force is in power doesn't like the idea of people being empowered. That's a modern application. Okay, verse 6. And he spoke terrible words of blasphemy against God, slandering his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. And the beast was allowed to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And he was given authority to rule over every tribe and people and language and nation. So the dragon, Satan, empowered the beast, the Roman Empire, to conquer the whole world. Go back and read your history. You'll find out that is exactly what happened. They conquered the whole known world at that time. So for them, it would have been the entire world. The Roman Empire stretched as far as they understood, and it was way out there. And so that they know that because of the power that the dragon was given to the beast, or the power that Satan was given to the Roman Empire, it was able to grow out and be all that. Okay, so the beast is saying, all right, this hope-giving Christian stuff has got to go. Let's see where we at here. Verse 8. And all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. Now, read that sentence again. That's a very, very important one to listen to. And all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. Hey, Anna Kay, glad you're here. Roman emperors were considered gods, but Christians would not accept them as gods. That's right, because we saw them as people. Again, dictators don't like that kind of stuff. And that was not a popular thing. All right, guys, hear this sentence, because this sentence will become very important later. Verse 8. And all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. Now, in the whole, what came first, the chicken or the egg? That's kind of what this verse is. I think a lot of times the way this is presented in the kind of the fear-mongering way that Revelation is often used, which is wrong, by the way, is we say, if you worship let me make sure I get this right here. If you worship the beast, then you belong to the world. That is not what it says. It says it backwards. Which came first? It says all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. Belonging to the world precedes worshiping the beast. So the people who don't belong to this world, and again, I know that's going to upset some of you. I promise I'm going to talk about that before we're done, but just hold on to this thought right now while I explain it to you. What came first was the people who belong to the earth. The people who belong to the world, not the earth. And that's right, Cool Hand Luke. Christians do not belong to this world. We are passing through. And that's the way we conceive of life, and that's the way we conceive of eternity. So it's the people who belong to the earth were the ones who were worshiping the beast. It wasn't that again, I know some of you are not going to like this, but let me explain it. It gets better. The idea is that belonging to the earth came first. Belonging to the world that came first. I got to get my words right here. That came first. Let me continue. I know some of you are getting mad at me. Just hang in there. All the people who belong to this earth worship the beast. They are the ones whose names were not written in the book of life before the world was made. The book that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered. Okay, there it is. Predestination. Everybody likes predestination. Anybody here know what the concept of predestination is? If you know what that word is in a religious context, somebody jump in the comments and tell me what predestination is. Predestination. What is it? Give me a succinct definition of predestination. Somebody jump in and tell me. What is predestination? Destiny ending before you were born. That's a good definition as I could think of. Okay. What the concept of predestination? Yeah, life is predetermined. The idea is those who are going to heaven are going to heaven, and those who ain't. And that's kind of the way it makes it sound here. And God knows who will be saved before they were created. Okay. There's one significant problem with this theological mindset that are the Presbyterian Church is a big one that kind of embraces this. There's one big problem. We lack something very significant under this mindset, and that is free will. There is no choice. Everything's been worked out, and if you're going to do good, it's because that's the way you were created, and if you do bad, that's the way you were created. That's really difficult. That's really difficult. So what are we to make of this? And, I know some people are actually comforted by knowing there's a plan and that everything's just kind of put together. I don't subscribe to that camp. To me, evangelism and outreach and changing the world, none of that means anything if everything's been predetermined. So I don't buy that because I feel that takes the winds out of the sails. However, what do you do with verses like this one, where that seems to be exactly what we're saying, because there's this book somewhere and apparently your name is either written or not written, and that's kind of a big deal. And so what do we do with this? Well, let's look at it this way. What are the wages of sin? According to the book of Romans, the wages of sin is death for everyone. Everyone has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We read that very, very clearly many places in the Bible. Well, how about the fact that salvation is available? And it is available because obviously, we may be upset about the fact that there are names that may not be in this book of life. However, there are names in the book of life. How about that? How about the fact that this is a guarantee that there will be people saved? And a very interesting thing about this is John never looks at this book. In fact, I've read through Revelation a number of times. I don't think anybody but the Lord looks in this book. Because eventually they're going to be, giving people different names and assigning things and marks and stones and all that kind of stuff. But I think what John is, the person who's witnessing this vision, is trying to tell us here is that this is not a death sentence. Because remember what he just said. He just said the most powerful force they knew in their world, which would have been the Roman Empire, which is the beast, being empowered by Satan. Matt, what's going on, buddy? Hello, this thing on, tap, tap. Matt, what you got there? Did I miss something? I see you got no free will. I got you on that one. Anna Kay has mixed feelings on this concept. Yeah, I got you. But the idea here is that, so they're taking on the most powerful force in the world, which was the Roman Empire. The thing that everybody wanted God to come and break. And break down and take out and remove. And John just said, well, I saw a book with people's names in it. And those people are going to be saved. Everybody whose name is there is going to be saved. So who is not going to be in it? Who is excluded? I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about that. But there are some people who are in it. And the beast and the dragon hate them. And they're going to win. The most powerful force in our world, both the spiritual force in the world, which would be Satan, and the physical force in the world, which would be the Roman Empire, are against these people whose name are in this book, and they're still listed as winners. That's the message. So what John is saying is, all hope isn't lost because of the beast and the dragon. That, because if you're in a bar fight, okay, and you're in a bar and there's a fight breaking out, and you're looking around, and all of a sudden you realize that Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris are on one side, that side's going to win. You want to get on that side because you want to be on the side of the winners. Well, John just said, I saw the beast and the dragon, and it was pretty scary and pretty awful. But guess what? God had this book. A bunch of our names are in it. So don't be afraid. Because even though things are looking bad with this great thing that's going on and this great evil that's happening, there's still going to be some winners coming out of this. This is supposed to be a hopeful thing. Now, we turn it into whose name's not going to be there? And we start looking around. That's not what this is for. The message here is that there will be winners coming out of this. People who will defeat the dragon. People who will defeat the beast. Whatever form that evil may take. There's going to be some winners come out of this. There's a book that proves it. And God has that book. So don't worry. Don't look at that as an exclusive thing. That is an inclusive thing. And it's all about who's going to come through this this great challenge as winners, as champions. And yes, I heard that about Chuck Norris. He doesn't do a push-up. He pushes the earth down. So, all right. Very good. So understand the presence of this book. We normally look at that as a scary thing, like, well, I may not be in it. How about the fact that anybody's in it? And there's no reason to think you're not in it. We're going to get to that in a second. But there are names in this book, and the people who are in there are going to be winners. Winners over the most powerful evil spiritual force in the world, which is the dragon, and the most powerful physical force in the world, which is the beast. Pretty scary, but they ain't going to win. Predestination theory is against faith, Hebrews 11:1. Yes. Yeah, because predestination, the way it's interpreted in our modern world, it's a downer. It's about, well, it doesn't matter what I do. That's not what's supposed to happen. There is still work for us to do, still life for us to live, still goals for us to accomplish. And we can't be leaving those things down. So, all right. So I think I've taken enough time on that because we still got a long ways to go. But you see that the fact that this book is there is proof positive that even though you were facing something as fearsome as the beast and the dragon, victory is still guaranteed. Let's be honest. Revelation is the most anticlimactic experience ever because we know the outcome before the game even starts. So, okay. So knowing there's a list of winners, there's a list of those who are going to be victorious. Knowing that book exists And there's every reason to think your name is in there. There's every reason to think that. John continues. Anyone with ears should hear and listen and understand. Verse 10. Anyone who's destined for prison will be taken to prison. Anyone destined to die by the sword will die by the sword. This means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently and remain faithful. I'll add to that and say, and know that their name is written in the book, the only book that matters. Their name is included there. Even when life turns to garbage and you know, die by the sword and whatever persecution may come along, victory is still yours. Because God is carrying around a list of winners, and thank God my name's in there. So is yours. Y'all see what I'm saying there? Somebody give me a what up or an amen in the chat if you're with me on that one. Somebody tell me in the chat, y'all following me? You guys being quiet tonight. Who's with me? All right, Cool Hand Luke is with me. Who's with me? Friends, whose name is in the list of winners? Let's go. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. There you go. All right, good job, Suze. All right, very good, guys. Y'all got it. So that's where we are. Don't cheat yourself out of your name being in the book, friends. All right, fantastic. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we're gonna endure what's coming because our name's in the book. Verse 11. Then I saw another beast come up out of the earth, as if things couldn't get worse, right? He had two horns like those of a lamb. He spoke with the voice of a dragon. So interesting. He looks like a lamb, speaks like a dragon. I don't want to get into the whole speculation of who this beast represents, but let's not lose the imagery here. He looks like a lamb with the voice of a dragon. He looks like the capital L lamb, but speaks like the dragon. Who's the dragon? That's Satan. This is the deceiver. He's the one who you know, he looks the part, but he or she don't necessarily speak the part. With that dragon voice, that's bad news. He's going to try there. I keep saying he, excuse the pronouns. Whoever this person is, they are going to, yes, Kuan Luke, yes, all these beasts and stuff. I probably would need a clean set of shorts too at this point. So what's he going to do with his face of a lamb, voice of a dragon? He exercised all the authority of the first beast. So everything that the first beast was all about. He had all that authority. But he took it a step further. He required all the earth and his people to worship the first beast. So whoever the second beast is, again, it's irrelevant who it is. He says, Satan's representative, who is the beast, y'all need to get on your knee before him. And y'all need to bow your head and fold your hands before this earthly power, which, again, at that time was the Roman Empire, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So he said, you guys need to pay some respects to Satan's representative here on earth. As you can imagine, the people whose names are on the list of winners are like, yeah, we don't really feel the need to do that. Yeah, we're gonna pass. But thanks though, right? So they're out on that. As you can imagine, dictators, the number one thing that dictators hate is the word no. They don't like to be told no. All they like is yes, sir, absolutely, sir. How fast can I do this for you? That's the way they like it. And when somebody comes along and says, I ain't feeling this, I think I'm out, dictators respond poorly. So let's see how this dictator responded poorly. Verse 12, he exercised all the authority of the first beast, and he required all the earth and his people to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. Okay, so the first beast, 13. He did astounding miracles, even make a fire flash down from the earth in the sky while everyone was watching. Well, that'd be pretty impressive. And with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast. Now look, follow how this goes. The dragon, who was Satan, empowered the Roman Empire, who was the beast, to empower the second beast that looked like a lamb but spoke like a dragon, to make fire rain down. Okay, so with verse 14, with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, empowered by the beast, he deceived all the people who belong to this world. So the people out there whose names are not on the list of winners were fooled by this. Now, we're going to ask ourselves, how were they fooled? How did the beast with the face of a lamb and the voice of a dragon, how did they not recognize him? My thought on this is the reason they were fooled is they didn't know the real deal when they saw it. They didn't know the real, true capital L lamb when they saw it. You know, this guy looked the part, whoever it is, looked the part. Maybe the whole fire from heaven thing might be a little out there, but he certainly looks the part. I mean, look at him. Look at that face. And the people who are on the list of winners were like, yeah, we see the face. You hear what the face says? You hear the noise coming out of the mouth here. We don't think this is right. Because what the voice from the lamb-faced dragon voice guy is saying is we need to bow down to the first beast. And we're like, we're pretty sure that's not what we ought to be doing. We're going to pass on that. But the other people who are like, yeah, but look at him. He sure looks the part. And that's how they were deceived. What deceived them is they didn't know the real deal when they had it. That's what fooled them. Friends, this is why evangelism is so important. I cannot overstate it. Because it's up to us, the people of the church, the people who are already on the list of winners, to make sure the world recognizes the difference between the false and the true. Lamb-faced dragon voice guy, false. Deceiver, yes, he was a deceiver. Pulling people away, yes. Distracting people out, yes. That was the problem. They didn't recognize the real deal when they saw it. And because they didn't recognize the real deal, they were fooled by what they were seeing. Christina, you are absolutely correct. She or he is very cunning and charismatic. There's no doubt about it. And this person was in big trouble. Parker, you couldn't be more right, my man. Evangelism is needed today. I would say desperately, but I'm not even sure that word is big enough. People need to know the truth. There's a lot of falsehoods out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of misconception out there. And we whose names are on the winners list need to make sure that people out there know the truth when they see it. And that's why we should be able to listen to people, listen to the news, listen to politicians, listen to celebrities, listen to activists, and say, they look the part, but they don't sound the part. What they're saying don't match up with what I know, and don't match up with what I believe, and don't match up with what God's word tells me. And that's why we got to be very, very careful about these things, because it can get to be a mess in a hurry. And that's a very dangerous thing. So the deception begins because people were unable to tell the difference between the true and the false. Which, let's be honest, there are very few distinctions in our world that are more important than a distinction between the true and the false. Matt, there are a lot of false prophets out there, the ones with the face but the wrong voice. The face but the wrong message. You're absolutely correct. And as Christina said a moment ago, they are cunning and they are charismatic. And in this world that we live in, where people are desperate for something of meaning to cling on to, and people have vilified the church so much that, and I don't mean us, I mean people of the world have vilified the church so much that people don't want to turn to us. Now, I'm sure it's going to shock you to find out, I vehemently and aggressively disagree with that. I think that we are where people should be turning, or the church. And I mean, Wayne Street would be a great place to come, but I don't just mean Wayne Street. I don't just mean the Methodist Church. The Christian faith out there is where people should be turning, whether that be Baptist, Lutheran, Pentecostal, Catholic, it doesn't make any difference. But at the end of the day, people need to be turning to the truth, because if they don't, they're going to get fooled. And I know, and so do you, know lots of people who've been fooled because of these charismatic and cunning and aggressively evil messages that are coming from a good face. Not that this is a good face, but a good face. But the voice don't match up. And that's why we need to be real careful out there. That's why I consider it the number one privilege of my life to be able to stand up on Sunday morning and give you God's word. I don't do anything creative in sermons. I want you to learn the word. And if you ever have questions or anything, you come and talk to me, because that's what I am. It's what I do. And I love. Why do you think my favorite part of these Wednesday night live streams is the destroy part? Because I love to say, let me show you something that's false here. Let me show you an agenda. Let me show you a something that's supposed to look like one thing, but it's really something else. And that's what we're going to look at tonight. If I could stop talking and get through this stuff. So people were deceived. Okay, verse 14. And with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belong to this world. Okay, I got to stop again. I made a note here that I want to. I did, and here we are. Matt, I'm not following you, buddy. I did, and here we are. I know that was in response to something I said, but I don't remember what I said. So help me out here. I made a note here. He says he deceived the people who belong to this world. The people whose names are on the winners list, the list that only God can see, were immune to this. According to what's said here, they were unable to be deceived. They were deceived proof. Anybody here tonight would be deceived proof? Jump in the comments. Who wants to be deceived proof? Tell me. Who wants to be immune to being deceived by some of these charlatans who are out there? Because there's a way to do that. There is a way to accomplish that. You gotta know the word, and that's a word with a capital W. And you gotta think, you gotta read, and you gotta work, and you gotta serve. And if you do these things, you can become deceive proof. If you surround yourself with people who will share the word with you. And I asked you what we were talking about, and here we are. That's right. Yeah. In fact, we're doing this right now, Matt, because of you, buddy. Thanks for bringing us here. This is a good topic tonight. And so as we're a part of this, and that's why I want to do these live streams with you, is I want you to be deceive proof. I want you to be immune to this. Somebody comes along with a line of crap that they're trying to give you. I want you to laugh at it. I literally want you to laugh at it. To know what's going on, because there is a lot, my friends out there, that we need to be. I don't know if this is the right way to say this. We need to be laughing at, not because it's funny, but because it's pathetic. And we need to do that, and then not buy into some of this cancel culture nonsense and some of this things going on out in the world. We need to be accountable. Absolutely. We need to be, responsible. No doubt about it. We need to be caring and loving. I mean, that goes without saying. But at the end of the day, we also need to be deceive proof. We need to be able to call garbage when we see it. That's very important, because if we don't, we get deceived. We get fooled. And it happens sometimes, but, little things will come along and fool us. But, friends, we don't ever want to doubt the fact that our name's on the winners list. Don't want to let that go. The world's going to tell you it's not. That's just a deception. And you gotta call that for what it is. Okay, so part of this deception, and deception is always about making things look more powerful than what they are. So obviously this second beast with the lamb face and dragon voice wants everybody to think that he's just all that and then some. And so what he's going to do is he's going to hit people where it hurts. Buying and selling, something we really love today. And here's why Matt brought this up tonight, and thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it. Okay. I'm halfway through verse 14. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast. So a statue, in this case, and I looked it up, the word is actually image. So yeah, it could be a statue or whatever, but whatever it is, it's a representation upon of the beast, Satan's representative in the world, which was the Roman Empire in John's day, today. We can debate what it is today, but it's certainly as present today as it's ever been. And thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, Parker. And as long as it's lighting your path, you're not going to get lost. Very good. So, so it makes an image. Remember, an image always represents something. So this image represents Satan. I mean, let's take it back to the beginning here. A great statue of the first beast who was fatally wounded, then came back to life. He was permitted, I'm assuming, and it doesn't make it illicitly clear here, but I believe the permission had to have ultimately come from the dragon. So the dragon came along and said, all right, you're permitted. So the second beast with the lamb face and the dragon voice says, all right, let's do this. Then he was permitted to give life to the statue so it could speak. Again, it's still inanimate. It's still not necessarily living, but it could speak. That was the proof it was living, is that it could speak. Okay. And I also went back and checked this term, give life. It says he breathed into it. The second beast, lamb-faced, dragon voice person, breathed into the statue, and that's what enabled it to speak. It harkens back to what God did to Adam and Eve. When he formed them out of the dust of the ground, he breathed life into them. That's what God did for Adam and Eve. It's the same thing that lamb-faced, dragon voice guy does for the statue. And as soon as he does that, instead of living and loving and embracing like Adam did, he starts talking. He's got some stuff to say. And what's the first thing? Now remember, this thing was just animated. I don't know what other word to use. It was just animated. And then the statue of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to follow it must die. That's the first thing it said. Yeah, Quinn, Luke. That is one statue I'd like to see torn down. But look at the first thing it said. Okay, so it was just animated, just given the chance to speak. And the first thing it says was, if you don't worship, you die. I think we could safely say that's a tad on the harsh side, okay? So if you don't worship, you die. And to make sure that people worship, then they were given a mark, okay? Verse 16. He required everyone, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or the forehead. Now, I did a little research on this. This word that's translated here, mark, in my translation, in verse 16, is only used, it's used a whole bunch in the book of Revelation. It's only used one other place in the Bible. The only other place besides Revelation that this particular word shows up is Acts chapter 17, verse 29. This word shows up there. It doesn't show up any place. It shows up multiple times in Revelation, but that's it. Acts, one verse, and then multiple times in Revelation. Normally, this word is translated idol. So it's given an idol, given an image, given a representation of something. So what basically the statue is, the statue that was inspired by lamb-faced dragon voice guy. That statue is declaring that you're going to have to pick a side. You're going to have to pick a side. Are you going to be on that side? You're going to be on my side. And this is where the deception becomes sad. I'll use that word. If you'll notice in the book of life, and again, I realize I'm teetering toward predestination here. You didn't have to choose to be in that one. That was given to you. To be on the winner's list was something that was given to you. There were no qualifications. There were no justifications. There were no great feats that had to be accomplished. There was God saying, I sure would like to put your name in my book. Sure would like for that to be there. And those names were placed there by God's choice. Compare that to the message of the talking statue, who says, you make your choice right now. God's mark is in the book. My mark is on your forehead, right there. Do you notice the difference in the message? God's saying, I want to include you. This evil talking statue wants you to exclude. Outside, I'm setting myself apart. I am a part of the statue, who is a part of the lamb-faced dragon voice guy, who's a part of the beast with 7 heads, 1 head wounded, who was inspired by the dragon, who is Satan. Yeah. Christ asks us, Satan demands it. That's exactly what we see here. Y'all see that? God says, I would be happy to already have you included. I'd be thrilled if your name was on the winners list. In fact, it is so important to me that your name is on my list that I'm not showing it to anybody. Compare that to what the statue says. I'm going to put the mark out there where everybody can see it. I'm going to exploit it. I'm going to be exclusive about it. And you can't buy or sell or participate in my economy without it. I'm going to take everything from you unless you be a part of what I am, a part of what I'm doing. If you don't join the statue, the talking statue, again, inspired by the lamb-faced dragon voice guy, again, inspired by the 7-headed beast, 1 wounded head healed, inspired by the dragon. Going back to Satan, God says, I'm going to protect you. In fact, I'm even going to protect your identity. I'm not even going to tell you if your name is on my winners list. Why? Because I want all y'all's name on there, not Satan. By George, you make the choice. Make the choice that you're going to take your name off the winners list, put it on the losers list, and let them stamp that thing on your forehead. For all the world to see just how far you have fallen. And what is the mark? Well, let's ask ourselves that. What is this great pronouncement that our forehead or our hand, what is this great pronouncement that they want to put out there? Okay, so first of all, verse 17, I got a little ahead of myself. And no one could buy or sell anything without the mark. Got it. So basically, all the things of this world are withheld from you. All the blessings of the world. Compare this to Jesus on the temple with Satan during the temptation. So Jesus and Satan are standing at the temple, the highest known point of the world at that point. And Satan says, look, the whole kingdom of the world, it all can be yours. Just bow before me. And Jesus is like, pass. Right? Same thing as here. Whole world. You can buy and sell the whole thing. All you got to do is proclaim me on your forehead. That's it. Right, Matt. I know there's a thing about the, this microchip where people have been talking about that since the 80s. Stuff like that. I don't buy any of that. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, they're going to try to cancel you. And I know I'm using a modern term there, but that's what they want to do. We're going to pull you out of society unless you join us and be a part of what's going on. Declare your rejection of the winners list. They would call it, Jesus, the list of the Lamb. Publicly declare that you're rejecting that, and all of this and more can be yours. Friends, again, the people who are on the winners list aren't fooled by this. We know what this is. We know what's going on here. We're not going to reject. So, cool hand, Luke. I don't think it works that way, buddy. And let me go on to talk a little bit about this. No one could buy or, verse 17, and no one could buy or sell anything without the mark, which was either the name of the beast. Notice that. The name of the beast. I have to assume that means the first beast. So again, we're going from, this was declared by the talking statue that was inspired by lamb-faced dragon voice guy, going back to the first beast, which in that time represented the Roman Empire, but what it really represented was the physical manifestation of Satan's evil on earth. It was the Roman Empire in, 30 or 40 AD. Today, we can debate what it is, but we all know it's out there. So you have to have the mark of the physical manifestation of Satan's evil in the world. That's what it is. Now it says, no one could buy or sell anything without the mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Wisdom is needed here. Understand, John does not want to put out there, in case somebody, one of the Romans reads this, doesn't want to put it out there for regular consumption because there could be some repercussions for that. So wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, or 666 is literally what it is. Okay, in the ancient world, there was a game. Today we play all kind of games. We play Sudoku, we play Solitaire, we play Super Mario Brothers. I mean, lots of games that we play. In the ancient world, they played games too. Humans have always been game players. And one of the games they would play is they give you a number, like, I don't know, 666. And what would happen is you could break that apart and solve the number of a name. And the way that would work is in the alphabet of this time, there was every letter represented a number. Like, say, one. I mean, just as an example, and I'm not saying this is the way it worked, but like one would be A, 2 would be B, 3 would be C, or something like that. Well, in the alphabet, what you would do is you would take this apart, and you have to find somebody whose name would correspond to numbers that would add up to whatever the number that was given. In this case, it's 666. Whose name adds up to that? And then you'd know who it was. Well, I mean, let me tell you what Tim Dickey has already told us. If you take Nero Caesar, and again, in the ancient world, and I told you this last week, titles always came after the name. So I would be Tim Pastor instead of Pastor Tim, that some of you call me. Titles always came after the name instead of before. So if you take Nero Caesar and translate the consonants from his name into numbers, here are the numbers you get. You get 50, 200, 6, 50, 100, 60, and 20. I said those real fast because I'm just going to tell you the answer. You add all those up. I bet you can't guess what they add up to. 666. What do you know? So in the days of the original vision of Revelation, the beast had a person. The beast had the identity of a person. That they identified that with a person, and that time it was Caesar Nero. Now, the entire book of Revelation will crumble and fall if we say, well, it was Nero. He's been dead for 2,000 years. What are we worried about today? He can't hurt us. No. He represented Nero in the year 40 AD. He doesn't represent Nero today. Who does he represent today? We can debate that. But, any physical manifestation of evil, because, again, that's what the Roman Empire was, would be represented by this. And how far do y'all have to look to go find a manifestation of evil in our world? I'm assuming you don't have to look far. So that's still true in Common Core math? Probably not, Tim. I'm sure it adds up to something else now. But, back when I was doing math, that's what it added up to. All right, Luke, even for you from Spencer, Tucky, I can tell you that those numbers add up to 666. You just have to trust this public school kid here. But the idea is that that's who represented it then. But for us to say it's Nero and no one else makes us go, well, the whole thing kind of falls apart. So what I'm telling you is follow the pattern, not the representatives. In this case, Nero is one of the representatives. The dragon is still Satan. Would anybody here want to dispute that Satan is still working? Right. So that force is still active. Satan manifests himself through physical means, does evil things. I would say we saw a great representation of that recently in the murder of George Floyd. What happened to that man was wrong. I don't care what your opinion of the riots and everything that's happened since is. The original act was wrong. That was a manifestation of evil. And a lot of evil has come from that. And a lot of bad things have happened because of that. Because that thing should not have happened. So that was a manifestation of evil. From there, you get representatives that say things that sound good, but they're not. They have a lamb face, but a dragon voice. They come along and preach messages of separation, of hatred, of things. There are people out there saying police shouldn't be kneeling on people's necks. I could not possibly agree more. But there's been a lot of messages that have come out of that that have been people, trying to appear to be wholesome who are not. That is a lamb-faced dragon voice person. And there's been plenty of them out there on both sides of the issue. And anytime we get deceived by them or whatever it is they create, like the talking statue, will make demands of us. And anytime we acquiesce to that or do what's demanded of us, we have been deceived. Y'all see how that works? Jump in the comments. Tell me if you follow that line of logic. Tell me if you follow how that works. So Satan inspires an evil manifestation of evil. We have spokespeople who come out trying to look wholesome and healthy and helpful, who have a lamb face, but they speak with a dragon voice, say things that make things worse, and then they create systems, create representations, create whatever that instruct people to turn away from what they know to be the truth. Guys, have you seen this? You guys see what I'm talking about? Do you follow how that works? Don't be a lamb-faced dragon voice. That's always good advice, Matt. Yeah. And Anna Kay, it was evil, and it did get out of hand. And because of that evil, that has inspired a lot of lamb-faced dragon voice people, not just guys, to go out and do things that are hurtful, have made things worse. They've done it in the name of making things better, but it hasn't. And and that's just one example. I could cite you a bunch of others. I mean, think about, let's use one that's not really in the news right now. Let's use environmentalism, okay? So the dragon inspires something bad. Global warming, pollution, whatever. Inspires something bad. A lot of people spring up around that with lamb faces and dragon voices who are telling us things that make it worse and divide us and make us fight and make us angry, not getting any closer to a solution. Then they create things that if you don't bow down to them, you're the bad one, even though you know what that thing they created is saying is incorrect. That's the talking statue. I hope this is making sense. It makes sense in my head. I hope I'm being clear. But that's how evil works. That's how Satan works. That way you can never trace anything back to Satan. He's just the instigator of it. He is there. He inspires something evil, and that raises up people with lamb faces who speak with dragon voices, and then they create things that tell you that you're evil and you're wrong if you don't do exactly what I say. That is a biblical concept. And we see that going on all over the place. So the warning here is very, very current. Don't fall for deception. If somebody comes along with their lamb face, but they're speaking with a dragon voice, don't listen to them. Or listen to them, but don't respond to what they're saying in a positive way. Because that's basically putting the mark on yourself and saying, here I am, I am forfeiting what I know to be true so that I can say to the world that I am rejecting the truth. We see this all the time. We see this on a daily basis, friends. I need a little more response from you guys. Do I need to continue explaining this, or have I made my point? Have I made my point? Because it doesn't look like I'm going to get to my other two things tonight because this took way too long. Sorry. Y'all with me? The problem is there are folks who think they were doing right. Well, that is the that is what it means to be deceived. They are honestly deceived. That's what happens when you're deceived. Like if I tell you to go to Salina from St. Mary's and you want to get on 33 and drive toward Walpock to get there, I have deceived you. Now you may be with all faith in the world following my directions, but I have deceived you. And that's what lamb-faced dragon voice people, representatives, that's what they do. And that's why it is so important to make yourself deceive proof. Because then when someone comes along and says, you're evil because of whatever because you did this or didn't do this or don't virtue signal this or don't subscribe to that, you're evil. That's it. You have embraced a deception, and that deception leads you further away from the truth. That's what John is trying to get us to see by recording Revelation 13. He's trying to get us to see the fact that deception is everywhere. Let's see here. Beth Reedy says 1 John 2:26-27. The Holy Spirit teaches us discernment. Yes, discernment is the way that is the way you inoculate yourself against deception. Candy, some people say that the next one is the Roman Catholic Church. Yes, I've heard that. Again, the church has been deceived through the ages. There's no question about that. Do I think that the Roman Catholic Church as it stands today is evil? Absolutely not. But I do think there are some things they could do better. But I'd say the same thing about the Methodist Church too. So that's why deception is such a dangerous thing, because it's very, very convincing. That's the nature of deception. Nobody is deceived. If you're walking, all right, here you go. If you're walking out of Dairy Queen and you got your Animal Cracker Blizzard, okay, you knew I was going to bring this up, right? You got your Animal Cracker Blizzard and you're getting ready to eat it. And standing outside, I'm like, oh, you know what? You don't want that Animal Cracker Blizzard. You know what you'd rather have? You'd rather have this rock instead. Why don't you give me the Animal Cracker Blizzard and you take this rock and we'll trade? Nobody's falling for that. Why? Because we are deception proof on that one. Because we all know that an Animal Cracker Blizzard is so much better than a rock. You already know that. You are deception proof on that. And that's why when it comes to the things of God and what it means to be a child of God and what it means to belong to God and what it means to be a follower of Christ, you need to deceive proof yourself so that when this garbage comes along, we don't fall for it. So, yeah, okay. Oh, wow. Never thought of it like that. Christina says, I always thought the mark of a physical mark, not agreeing with something you know is wrong. Yeah, that's deception. That's how sneaky it can be. And that's where it can come from. Because, again, it's designed to look good. And that's why we need to be very, very careful about that, because deception is dangerous. Cheryl, what do you mean, Candy? I kind of fleshed that out, Cheryl. Let me know if I explain Candy's quote about the Catholic Church better. Jan says, looks so good, sounds so good, but so wrong. Again, the nature of deception. Let's be honest. Back to my Animal Cracker Blizzard versus the rock theory. Nobody's following for that because it sounds terrible. Nobody's going to fall for that. So, Matt Clements, truly think some lamb-faced don't know they have a dragon voice. They truly think they're doing good. They are truly deceived. Amen, brother. That's exactly right. In this analogy, the second beast who had the lamb face and the dragon voice may not have even realized the damage they were doing. I would say the same thing today. People who have the lamb face dragon voice today and talking about events today, I would say some of them know exactly what they're doing. But there are others out there who have simply been deceived. It's very sad, but it's also very dangerous. And that's why deception, again, Satan's only skill is to lie. That's the only thing he does. And if you allow him space to do that, man, he'll tell you a good one. And you want to be careful about that. Anna Kay says, following what you said, it does happen on a daily basis. It's a lamb face doing evil. I sometimes think people follow a group like that until they realize how sinful they are and break away. That's why they don't last. The church has lasted 2,000 years. It is literally the oldest organization on the face of the earth. That's why it's still here, is because it's based on truth. Truth lasts. Deception doesn't. Tim Dickey, the Catholic Church with the popes have done some pretty nefarious things throughout history. That may be an understatement of the whole night right there. That's extremely true. Matt says, very sad. This is a huge problem today. It is a catastrophic problem because remember, Satan can only do one thing. The dragon in the story of Revelation can only do one thing: lie. That's it. That's all he can do. At one point he tries to drown the church in water and the earth opens up and swallows the water. He can't even do that right. But he can lie a good one. He can deceive a good one. And he deceives all along the way. He deceives to create the physical manifestation of evil, which would be the first beast. And then that deception grows into the lamb-faced dragon voice person. And that deception grows into the talking statue who says, if you don't subscribe to this, you're out of our group. We will cut you out of our group if you don't take the mark, meaning if you don't buy into what we're talking about. That's why deception is powerful, friends. That's why you want to stay away from it. All right, my friends, that took a whole lot longer than I thought it was, and I apologize. I had 2 articles here I was going to go with you on. I had planned to do this. I only planned to take like 20 minutes on that scripture passage. I don't know what I was thinking with that. I was going to make some comments about the Nick Cannon thing. For those of you who don't know who Nick Cannon is, you'll be canceled. There you go, Tim. That's it. That's deception. Cancel culture is absolutely deception. It's not if you don't take the mark, if you don't apologize in the right way, if you don't say the right thing, do the right thing, you will be canceled. That is exactly the mark of the beast. No question about it. Okay, so I got this article here from the Washington Post about Nick Cannon, and I was going to talk about how he in fact, I even had it queued up on my phone here. I was going to play it for you, but you're just going to take my word for it. He made some comments about people who lack melanin, which would be this white guy right here, and how that has made white people savages. And he talked about that. Again, I'm quoting him. And he talked about how that's it. And then when he finally got fired by Viacom, CBS, he apologized for being anti-Semitic. Now, he pretty much ignored all the comments about melanin, which had nothing to do with the anti-Semitic things he said, which is also wrong. I didn't apologize to any of the melanin stuff, but thought it was terrible, or decided, or whatever. It was terrible what he said about Jewish people, and I have a hard time believing that he meant that. The final thing then I was going to destroy tonight is we're back to the Washington.com post. But the message you gave was well worth our time. Thank you, Crystal. That was an extremely nice thing to say. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. The thing I was going to destroy tonight is I was going to destroy Emily Gardner. Now, for those of you who don't know who Emily Gardner is, she is the prosecutor in St. Louis, and she has charged dang it, I lost their names. Hang on here. I lost their names. Lost the McCloskeys. That's fantastic. I'm looking down here and I don't see, why do I not see their names? Anyways, the McCloskeys. For those of you who don't remember who they are the people, they're the people who had the house and the protesters were coming by and walking through their yard and stuff. And they brought out guns to, make sure that their property wasn't damaged. And the prosecutor, who was Emily Gardner, has charged them with brandishing a weapon in public. I have a problem with this because, first of all, I can't go to my house tonight, pull out a gun, and stand on my porch and threaten people walking down my sidewalk because the street that runs in front of my house is a public street. So I can't do that. And if they're not threatening me, I have no reason to do that. The McCloskeys lived in a gated community. They were not on a public street. So they lived in a gated community. I'm using the word protesters loosely. The protesters broke down a gate, came across their property, and was on their way to go throw things at the mayor's house, which why the mayor is upset about this, I have no idea. But the McCloskeys came out with guns, an AR-15 and then a little handgun, to come out and just say, don't be damaging our stuff. I don't want my house set on fire. I don't want people looting things. I don't want you to shoot my dog. I don't want you to shoot us. Okay. They never left their porch. It turns out what Mrs. McCloskey had, her gun was a prop. And Mr. McCloskey, his AR-15 was real, but he had there was no ammunition in the house. It was not loaded. So it was simply there as a threat to keep people off of their property. They have been charged with a felony that could land them up to 4 years in prison for doing this. I have a real problem with this because the governor of the state, whose name is Missouri Governor Mike Parson, has said that if these people are charged, I'm pardoning them immediately. He said that long before any charges were actually filed. He said, I will pardon them. There will be no conviction here. But the prosecutor charged them anyways. I'm destroying this situation because that is a waste of taxpayers' money. It's basically like a referee would say to a football team, you're not going to score. Anytime you try to score, I'm going to throw a penalty on you. It doesn't matter if there's one or not. There's no way you're going to get there. The football team has no reason to try to drive down the field because they're not going to get to the end zone. That is exactly what the governor has said here. You are not going to be successful in prosecuting or persecuting these McCloskeys because if you try to, I will stop it. And yet, in order to make a stand, to be a lamb-faced dragon voice person, she charged them anyways. And I think that is just not good. These, again, protesters, and I'm using that term very loosely, had already burned a 7-Eleven at the end of the street. They were shouting obscenities and threatening the McCloskeys and their dog that night. The police had obviously not tried to stop them. The mayor of the city was just thrilled with the burning and property damage, apparently. I don't know what other choice the McCloskeys had. And they were in a gated community. So for anyone to be there that was not in that community. Now, we could say, they're living in an ivory tower and they're whatever. You can say all that stuff. But the bottom line is they were trespassing on private property. They were already committing probably a misdemeanor. I don't know what trespassing is. And they'd already shown a propensity to destroy and break windows and different things. And the McCloskeys were like, we're not having it here tonight. And for the prosecutor to charge them, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. However, personally, I debate whether or not owning a gun makes you safer. Again, I know that's something that's not going to be a popular sentiment. But at the same time, I fully support that if you're a law-abiding citizen and you have no reason not to own a gun, knock yourself out. I'm perfectly happy with that. And the McCloskeys are they were practicing their Second Amendment right to protect their property. It's not like they ran into the street. It's not like they even shot. They never pulled the trigger. In fact, neither gun was loaded. One gun wasn't even real. And again, they had no way to look at that. If you looked at any picture of the McCloskeys, you have to admit the way his wife is holding that gun, had she shot it, she's going to break her own nose because she was like, she didn't strike me as being a gun-toting psycho by any stretch of the imagination. So, but I'm destroying this situation because I think it's ridiculous that this prosecutor is wasting taxpayer money to go after a prosecution that will, under no circumstances, even if the McCloskey say, we did it and we machine gunned a bunch of people and whatever, it's still not going to result in a conviction because the governor has already said, if you harass these people anymore, I will pardon them. And then there's nothing more to do. So I'm canceling this because this is clearly a grandstanding moment. This is clearly a political statement. This is clearly a goofy thing that I just don't understand why it is. Why were the McCloskeys charged and none of the people who were trespassing in that community they should not have been in? I don't know why that was done. So Kuan Luke says the prosecutor can tell the trespassers I tried to convict, but he pardoned them. Yeah, I guess so. They should be called what they are, rioters. Yep, that's kind of dangerous. Anna Kay says, I feel I have a right to defend your property, especially since it was a gated community. They previously done harm to other buildings. I know. They had every reason to believe that something bad was going to happen. Matt says she looked scared and she had a right to be. Absolutely. I mean, look, I wouldn't be real happy about standing in front of my house in front of a mob of people either. I completely get that. It was a brave thing for them to stand out there. But, so that's why I'm destroying that situation. All right. I'm sorry we didn't get to spend as much time on that as I wanted. Friends, somebody talk to me. Do you guys enjoy this tonight? And I'm sorry I'm running 15 minutes over. I kind of got carried away with Revelation 13. Did you guys enjoy this tonight? Feel like you got something out of it? I appreciate the 26 of you who are logged in right now. Did you enjoy the conversation? Give me some feedback. And is this something you would be interested in continuing these Wednesday nights? We have a pretty good crowd here tonight. So, all right, guys. Well, I need to let you guys get in bed. I'm already 15 minutes over where I should be. So I want you guys to all go to bed. And I appreciate you all coming out to spend your evening with me and being a part of this conversation. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. And keep sending me keep sending me stuff. You guys who are sending me things. That's real helpful because I'd like to know what you'd like to know about. I mean, yeah, there's things out there interesting to me that I can go after, but if you guys got questions there, Matt, or if you got things in the news media that you would like to talk about, please send those things to me. I'm not saying I'm going to do everything, but I would be very happy to have those conversations. So thank you all. Well, anyways, the unloaded AR and the prop worked. Yes, they did because their house was not burned down. Kuhan Luke, that's exactly right. So. All right, guys. Hey, thank you. Thank you all for your kind words. Appreciate you all very much. Love you all very much. Again, I look forward to these Wednesday nights too. Plan is we'll be back here next Wednesday night. Email or text me any suggestions or anything you'd like me to talk about. I'm sorry we didn't get to spend more time with the last two things, but that Revelation 13 was gone pretty well. I wanted to make those points. So appreciate it. You guys all go get a good night's sleep. And before you do so, make sure you go wash your hands.